Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to part 11 of my DVD library collection. And just really quick, I had two more that I added to my collection, so two more dramas that came out late last year. So, the first one, this one got a lot of critically acclaimed reviews from critics, did well box office wise, and won 3 Oscars, including Best Cinematography, and that is of the war film 1917. So this is not a DVD update, but this is too small. There's only 2 of them, so it was a show I added more to my collection. So 1917, and then the new one, the one, the latest one from director Clint Eastwood. So, and that is of the true story of Richard Jewell. So these will be the 2 latest in my collection here. So that all aside. Now we'll get to where I left off. So ended over there. Now on the family / animated movies, so kids films. So it ended right there, and it's continuing on over here now. You can see. Right down here now. So moving on now to ended on the first Beethoven film. So I ended up moving on to Beethoven's Second. Really enjoyed the sequel. Then we have of Beverly Hills Chihuahua. And of BFG. And Big Hero 6. Big Miracle. And of The Borrowers. And this one, to me, I think is one of the worst ones from DreamWorks Animation. I like DreamWorks Animation, but to me, this is their worst ones they did. I did not like this one at all. The Boss Baby. I did not like this one. I mean, the voice cast was not the problem, just the whole aspect of this. It's like a DreamWorks, it's an animated version of Baby Geniuses to me, and that was god awful, and this is like a sort of a reincarnation of that. I did not like this one. This is one of the worst ones from DreamWorks Animation. Then we have from the Nickelodeon one, from the TV movie of The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. What was that? What was her name? What was Victoria? It was Victoria Justice. Was it? It's already been 10 years since this came out. Sheesh, that long ago. Next, of the Disney film of Brave. Then we have of Brother Bear. And then of the direct-to-video sequel of Brother Bear 2. Then you got the collector's edition of Bug's Life. Then we got of Cars. And then of number 3, which I skipped number 2, which I'll still get though, but I think everyone is in agreement that number 2 is the least one in the series. They prefer number 3 better. And part of me was cool because you got to hear Paul Newman's voice one last time, because he used unfinished recordings he did from the first movie, and then they put it in here. So it was cool that I got to hear Paul Newman one last time. Then we have of Catch That Kid. Then of one of this one, I reviewed this already, classic of The Cat from Outer Space. Next, have of Jesus Christ, long ranted on this one, but The Cat in the Hat. Still god awful to this day. Still, I prefer this better though, but they didn't say much. But Cats and Dogs. Even I think the sequel is better than Cat in the Hat. And this is not a good sequel either, but still. Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore. I think the jokes in here I thought were better humor than the jokes in The Cat in the Hat. Then of Charlie the Lonesome Cougar. Then of where I reviewed these already, of the classic of Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web 2. And then up to the 2006 remake of Charlotte's Web. So, yeah, I reviewed those ones already. Next we have of Chicken Little. The classic of the original Cinderella. Then the 2015 remake. Then, I don't know why Jonathan Frakes made this film, but Clock Stoppers. I mean, Jonathan Frakes, William Riker from Star Trek, he directed this film, and it was also a waste of Michael Biehn, which I enjoy, though. It was a waste of him. This was not good. To me, it wasn't. Then we have of The Country Bears. And of The Croods. Then we get more of the DC animated movies. That is of Green Lantern: First Flight, Justice League War, Superman Batman Public Enemies, Superman Doomsday, and of Superman Shazam: Return of Black Adam, Wonder Woman, which to me I think I prefer this than the 2017 one. Sorry. And then we have of which I reviewed and revisited this though of Dennis the Menace. Next, now we'll move on to the second shelf now. Maybe I'll consider revisiting this one for its 20th anniversary, since this came out in the year 2000 as well. And which you saw me had the poster of this before though, but here of the 2-disc collector's edition of Dinosaur. So maybe I'll revisit this film for 20th anniversary, I would say. I'll give this later down the road. Then we got of Dinosaur Island, and of another film called from like a few years ago. What was it, 2014 or 15? I think it was. Another one called Dinosaur Island. Then we have the animated film of Dinotopia. Then we got of the Doolittle movies of Eddie Murphy, Dr. Doolittle. Then of the sequel number 2, and then because I got of the third one, which is which Eddie Murphy's not in it, but it's the same Kyla Pratt who played the younger daughter of not Raven Simone, but the other her who played the younger daughter of Eddie Murphy. So she's in all 3 of these, including this one. Next they have of Dolphin Tale. And then of the sequel, Dolphin Tale 2. Then of which I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball Z. I never grew up with watching the show, so but it was like it was last year in January when this came out, so my brother and his friend wanted to see it, so I went along with it. And this was the premiere of Dragon Ball Z super brawly. To me, it wasn't not that bad of a movie, though. It's just, I just never got into Dragon Ball Z. This whole entire franchise. It's this one anime series. I know it's been popular for years. Many people are fans of this franchise. Many people are. But I just never got into this. I know I'm familiar with some of the main characters like Goku, and what was the other one? Piccolo, Vegetier. I keep pronouncing the guy's name, but I know that of him. And then of Frieza, and that's about it, So, but this was not that bad of a movie. I like the animation. It looked like it was the same style how it was in the 80s when it premiered, when the original show premiered, so I like that. But, like I said, not that bad of a movie. I'm still not a big fan of the franchise. That's just me, though. I know, I'm sure, but I respect anybody who is a fan of the franchise, because I know it's been popular for over 30 years, and going on over 30 years now, so. But next we have DuckTales, the movie, which I reviewed a while back. Then have the classic of Dumbo. And then, of course, of last year's remake of Dumbo. From Tim Burton. Which I prefer more than the remake of Aladdin or The Lion King. I said this before, so I prefer this more than both. This was like the least offensive to me. So. Next, we have of Eight Below, with starring Paul Walker. Then of Elmo and Grouchland. Then of The Emperor's New Groove. Epic. Then of Escape from Planet Earth. And then of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Next of Ferdinand. Then of Ferngully. Finding Nemo. And Finding Dory. The Flintstones. Flipper. Flubber. Flushed Away. Then I reviewed a while back of Sesame Street's Follow That Bird. Then of the double feature of the classic of The Fox and the Hound and the sequel. Frankenweenie. Freebirds. Then of the trilogy, which I don't own the fourth one. To me, that's a pointless one. I never care for it, so I'm sticking with the three films. But Free Willy. Then of the Adventure Home. And then of The Rescue. Next, you have of still popular as right now, which is of the first Frozen. Then of last year of Frozen 2. God. I ranted on this a while back. Still got off on embarrassing for Brendan Fraser. Furry Vengeance. Jeez. You can check my rant on this. This is god awful. And then and speak with animals, rather prefer this though, but G-Force. Rather prefer this than Furry Vengeance. But actually, I like G-Force. That's me. So yeah, it's a ridiculous idea though. Like spy guinea pigs though, but still, rather prefer that than Furry Vengeance. Next up with Dwayne Johnson of The Game Plan. And then of the first and the sequel of the Garfield movies. Yeah, I loved Garfield, but watching these nowadays, they're not good movies anymore. I mean, back then when I first saw these, as a kid, I liked them, but now I see how people don't like these movies, so... Yeah, but I love the cartoons, I love the comics, but these are not good movies. They don't hold up anymore. But next we have The Good Dinosaur. Then we have Goofy Movie. And of the sequel, Extremely Goofy Movie. And of Goosebumps. And then of Gordy. And then, which, surprisingly, I have not reviewed this classic Disney film. I'll have to review this sometime later. But that is of The Great Mouse Detective. I'm surprised I haven't reviewed this one yet, so I'll be sure to give this review sometime later. But yeah, I enjoyed The Great Mouse Detective. So moving on, next we have of Happy Feet. Then we have of the sequel of Happy Feet 2. Then of The Haunted Mansion. And then we have next of Hercules. And of Hocus Pocus, which I heard they're doing a sequel, which, why? I mean, I like the film growing up, but why would there be a sequel like over 25 years later now? So, I don't get it. Why make a sequel? Probably nostalgic, probably. Which sometimes I think nostalgic is overrated now. Alright, next we have actually, hold on. Give me a second here. I'm just pulling up a chair right now because it's hurting sitting on my knees right now, so I was doing this, so I'm just pulling up a chair right here so I can make it easier. There you go. So next, following we have of Home on the Range, of the classic of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Then I got the double feature of the sequels of Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, and then Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. Then we have the original of The Incredible Journey. And then, to me, an all-time classic film for me, which before growing up with this one, I never knew this was a remake back then when I grew up. So, but yeah, to me, I think I still prefer the original. Was not that bad, but this is all I always prefer. This is an all-time classic film for me. So, Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. Love this film to death. It's one of my all-time favorites that I grew up watching a lot. Then we have the good sequel to me of Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. Love Homeward Bound. Next we have of Hook. Then of Hoot. Based on the book. Hoot. Then of Hop. Horton Hears a Who. Then of Hotel Transylvania. Then of the sequel, which I don't have the third one yet. Then we have the original classic of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And then we have the 2000 of Ron Howard's Dr. Seuss's The Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. Then we have the franchise DVDs I have right here of that I really enjoy of How to Train Your Dragon. Then of How to Train Your Dragon 2. And then of last year's, I just reviewed that not that long ago, of How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Pardon me. And then we have of the short ones of How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming, then of Gift of the Night Fury, and then of the few episodes of Dawn of the Dragon Racers. And then next we have of Hugo. Then move until I got to another franchise here of the Ice Age movies. So we have of the first one, The Meltdown, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Then we have of the Christmas special one. And then we have of Continental Drift. And then of Collision Course. And then we have the Easter one called The Great Eggscapade. Yeah, the title is not that good. It's not that good of a joke. Alright, next of Disney's of The Incredibles. And no, I don't have the sequel, not yet, so later. Then of The Indian in the Cupboard. In the Cupboard. Then of the Marvel direct-to-video one of The Inhumans. And then I got of the Inuyasha movies. So we have of Inuyasha of what you've seen over there. I got the poster of the first one, of the first movie. You've seen, from the poster I have over there of the first movie of Affections Touching Across Time. So yeah. And then we have of Inuyasha of The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass. And then we have the third one of Swords of an Honorable Ruler. And then we have the fourth one of Fire on Mystic Island, on the Mystic Island. So I'll have to review these ones. Probably I'll do it for as the next of my birthday month of June, for the next anime reviews. So I'll probably give these a review. Next we have of an underrated one of The Iron Giant, which is, I will say, not only underrated but also a classic as well. I enjoyed The Iron Giant. Vin Diesel, I thought he was good as voicing as the Iron Giant. Superman. Then we have of Inside Out. Then, which are one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films of Jingle All the Way. Yeah, Joey. Then another of one that I miss Robin Williams a lot, and that is of Jumanji. Miss Robin Williams a lot. But I don't like the sequels. No, I don't. With Dwayne Johnson? No, I don't. And I didn't like the first previous one. But I have no intention of seeing the next level. Next, of the original of the classic of The Jungle Book. Then we have the 2016 remake of The Jungle Book. And of course, Kazam. God, yeah. And what mind boggles me is that this film has been directed by the guy Paul M. Glaser. This is the director who previously he directed The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. He goes from directing that good movie to directing this film with Shaquille O'Neal. Really? I don't know what the guy was doing. I mean, the guy who directed Stephen King's The Running Man when Arnold Schwarzenegger would go and do this movie. He's pretty much killed his career after this. He hasn't pretty much done much ever since then. But next we have of the Kung Fu Panda movies, 1, 2, and 3. And then we have of another classic of Lady and the Tramp, which they did a remake of last year, which was doing Disney Plus. So I don't have Disney Plus, so I have no intention of getting it. And we're on to another big franchise now. This got all these, which I reviewed. I reviewed all the movies. You can check them back. I reviewed like years back now. And that is the classic of The Land Before Time. This is the one with the original cover, and then the special edition one of right here, the anniversary edition. But of the classic of of the first one. Then we have a favorite sequel of mine of me and my brother grew up watching together, of the adventure number 2, The Great Valley Adventure. Then we have number 3, Time of the Great Giving. 4, Journey Through the Mists. 5, The Mysterious Island. 6, Secret of Source Rock. 7, The Stone of Cold Fire. There's more. Then we have 8, The Big Freeze. 9, Journey to Big Water. 10, The Great Long Neck Migration, which you have Littlefoot's father is voiced by Kiefer Sutherland, and you also have James Garner here voicing as well. So you got a couple of the later sequels, like you got a couple of well-known voice actors in here. So like I said, you got Kiefer Sutherland, like James Garner. Then you have 11, Invasion of the Tiny Sources, which this one of them voiced by Michael Clark Duncan. May he rest in peace. Number 12, Day of the Great Flyers. And 13, which you have voices by of Sandra Oh and Cuba Gooding Jr. And then you got the 14th one, which voice of Reba McEntire, Journey of the Brave. Yeah. And there has not been one since. I think they finally stopped on these, so. And then of course you got the animated series as well. So, but I reviewed all of them, so you can check them out. Then we have of the 94. Yeah, the 94 remake of Lassie, which I know that I haven't seen the original Lassie though, but this is what I grew up watching more the most, so just I'll stick to watching this version of Lassie, which I grew up watching more. Yeah, Lassie. Mm-hmm. And we went to the last shelf down here. Which I said about this film countless times. I would love to see a sequel to this, but sadly no. 10 years later, still no sequel, which there's never going to be, sadly. I enjoy this film. It's a favorite animated film of mine, and to me, I think this is Zack Snyder's best film. Even though, if for live action wise, it's Dawn of the Dead, but Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. Really love this film. Really enjoy this. Like I said this a lot of times, but this film a lot of times. Then we have the Lego Movie. Then of Lilo and Stitch, which they also plan to do a live action remake, which it would be really awkward to see Stitch as a live version of himself. To me, no, not needed, not wanted. Stick to watching this one. I enjoy Lilo and Stitch. Then, of course, one of my all-time favorites, The Lion King. I'm sorry, fuck the last year's remake. That was abysmal, an insult, abomination. While this is considered one of the greatest movies of all time and a Disney masterpiece, here's an old saying. What was it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You get what I'm saying? But what does it matter? That film made over $1 billion worldwide. So what does it matter? Like, to me, like, my opinion doesn't matter to them, because I'm just a one lowly schmuck here who, to one of many people, think this is an all-time masterpiece, a classic, one of the greatest films ever made, but yet that film made all the money, whatever. Although critics think it lacked the heart and soul to it, so that says something, which I said before. 2019 remake lacked no heart, no soul, what this film had. So I've said this film about countless times about the. You can check my big rant on the 2019 remake, so you can check that out. Next, we have of the sequel, which I thought was not that bad at all. I reviewed it. Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Then we have of which I saw, which I wasn't all that interested in this series of, but I just got to see what a few episodes there is. But this is of the show of The Lion Guard, Return of the Roar. I think this before Simba's Pride. I forget. But yeah, I was not interested in this. Wasn't. And next of two other films, which I reviewed. Another favorite Disney masterpiece, that an all-time classic as well. That is of The Little Mermaid. I reviewed this, and I really love The Little Mermaid. I think I said that Ariel's my during one of my questions, who's my favorite Disney princess? I'd probably say her. Although I like all the other ones though, but I think I picked her. But I love The Little Mermaid. It's an all-time classic. And this one I think is one of the better of the direct-to-video sequels, which I do think is better, but I reviewed this also. The Little Mermaid, yeah. The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. I reviewed this. I like this one. I just say, yeah, of all the direct-to-video sequels to like these, I think this is one of the better ones. Like this one and Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. The other ones, I think they're both better than some of the other ones. So, but I reviewed both of these. But all-time classic. I think this one's not that bad of a sequel too. So. Then we get next to the next franchise. We have these. The first one of Madagascar. Then of Escape to Africa. And then number 3, Europe's Most Wanted. And then of the spin-off of The Penguins of Madagascar. And then we have like the specials of this one of Wrecked Out Holiday DVD. It's like this is the Penguins Madagascar Christmas special. And then we have the Valentine one of Madagascar. And this one I ranted on this one a while some years back, but yeah, Magic in the Water. Yeah, I ranted on this one sometime back, some years back, so you check that one out. And then we have of Max. And then of one thing I think is a bit underrated, and that is of Mighty Joe Young. Then we have of the 1995 the Power Rangers movie. When I grew up, me and my brother enjoyed. I will still say this: the big flaw in this film was the CGI. It was really god awful CGI. That is the only biggest problem I have with it. But I do like, because me grew up with Power Rangers a lot. Me and my brother still enjoy this film, but I do say the CGI, especially on the Zords and. Yeah, the CGI is just god awful still. That does not hold up today still. But I still enjoy it to this day because I grew up with the Power Rangers. My review this years back. But this one I did a rant on this. This was just flat out boring. And that's the Turbo movie. So I ranted on this one. And then I ranted on this one too because to me I thought the 2017 Power Rangers movie. Yeah, I ranted on this one too. I did not like this film at all. To me, I thought as a fan growing up with Power Rangers, I was offended by it. So, but I also did a big old rant on this film as well, so you can check that out. And then we have of Maleficent. You can say it's a live action remake of Sleeping Beauty, but it's called Maleficent. I mean, I also say that Angelina Jolie, she does look the part of playing Maleficent. I haven't seen the sequel, though, Mistress of Evil. I have not seen that one, though. And then we have of Moana. And then we get to this particular franchise, which I was just curious about, but I was just curious about this though. This particular series, which I don't think nobody talks. I think no one talks about this series anymore because it was popular like from some years back now. But and I thought they intended to make a movie of this, but that fell through and never came to be. But that was of the Monster High series. If anyone remembers Monster High, because I don't think nowadays people don't talk about this series anymore. So, if that's the case, I don't blame them. But I was giving these a chance. So, like Monster High 13 Wishes, Monster High Freaky Fusion. What was it? Frights Camera Action. Even the titles of these, like how the puns of these titles I think they're not that good jokes. Next up of like Boo York. Get it? It's yeah. That's what I mean by that. It's not that there was not good titling. Like Boo York, the Frank Sinatra song. New York. You get what I mean. It's not that funny. Then we have Ghouls Rule. Then of what was it? The Great Scarier Reef. Jesus Christ, me the names of these titles are not that funny at all. Then of Haunted. Then of what was it? Scarus, City of Frights. Yeah. I mean, I was curious about this series, so it's not my cup of tea. So, I mean, I don't think it's not overall bad though, but it's just not my cup of tea at all. So I was just curious. That's the thing, just for the sake of curiosity. But I don't think no one talks about the series anymore anyway. So. And the next, the last of these on this shelf here, and the last of it is now of Monster House. Then of Monsters Inc. Incorporated. And then of the prequel, Monsters University, which I wish we got a sequel instead of a prequel. Which, I mean, do we need a prequel how these two met and how in their younger years? I think I would prefer we just got a sequel. Like, hey, years later, they still are working together and Monsters Inc., with the laughing and all that stuff. Then, hey, they meet Boo, who's now, like, growing up a bit more, like a teenager or something like that, But I don't think we didn't need a prequel to this. I think I would be better off with a sequel. I was curious about that, after the ending of Monster Corporate, when he saw Boo again. But, yeah. Then we have Monster Mutt. This one I did enjoy. I really enjoyed this film from Fred Decker. He was good, and Shane Black too. And that is of the Monster Squad. I enjoy the Monster Squad. Yeah, Shane Black and Fred Decker. With freaking RoboCop 3, and then it was Shane Black with Iron Man 3, The Predator, and Fred Decker. He had a hand in The Predator too. I mean, I like Night of the Creeps. I like this film, but just those are just a piece of garbage. But I like Monster Squad a lot. And then we have Monster Trucks, and then we have another favorite of mine of the anime movies of Monsters vs. Aliens. So that completes part 11 on this shelf here now. So stay tuned for part 12, which is to focus on this shelf here. This here, right here. So we're getting closer to the home stretch, so just keep on bearing a couple more parts. It is gonna take a couple more parts, so I finished with that. Now we can move on to this. Is continuing on this category here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 12 now. Later.